No problem.
Oh man, I can't imagine going to 8,500 meters in these boots.
Which is my theory that if those guys were moving, they were okay, but once they stopped moving, the clock was ticking, and it was a different game altogether. Toes are freezing. In 22, Mallory frostbit one of his fingers, and he commented that it was bad, but not that bad. And then, sort of in a little note aside, he said, "I wouldn't mind if I lost the finger for this summit." And if I was in his shoes, I probably would have thought the same thing, because it was the golden age of exploration.
Bad weather blocks Conrad's path, and the monsoon snows are imminent. He and Leo risk being trapped high on Everest, beyond rescue.
It was a stressful moment. What are we doing? We're climbing into the second week of June, the monsoon's on our ass. I get on the phone to Jennifer, and I say to her, it's not worth what I'm putting you and the family through, and I'm ready to come home.
The window was closing. I knew the monsoon was coming. I was looking at the satellite imagery of the weather. I said, Conrad, you know what? I'm looking at the computer screen and I'm seeing this giant wall of weather, and it's the monsoon. And I just said, Conrad, you need to be confident that you can make it. But if you have a chance to climb the second step, I want you to go for it.
My dear one, what is happening to you? I wonder so much. Are you happy and are you well? All the immortal love my soul has is with you. Ruth.
Early in June 1924, two of Mallory's team, Norton and Somerville, pushed on up the mountain. But Everest forced them back. Snowblind, Norton had to be carried down. Somerville almost choked to death before coughing up part of his frostbitten larynx. Clearly, it was time to go home. They were weak with exhaustion. The monsoon was due, but Mallory refused to give in.
My dear girl, this has been a bad time altogether. Perhaps it's mere folly to go up again, but how can I be out of the hunt? 6 days to the top from this camp. It's 50-1 against, but we'll have a whack yet and do ourselves proud. Great love to you, ever your loving George.
The big question is why George Mallory thought it was worth one more shot. And I think the way to reconcile the overriding conflict in his life was actually to climb the mountain and be done with it and go home to Ruth and say, I've done it, it's over, now we can get on with the rest of our lives.
He knew that this was it. He couldn't come back again later if he didn't get to the top. It would be impossible to put Ruth through that again.
I must tell you, dearest one, I feel full of energy and strength. My plan will be to carry as little as possible, go fast, and rush the summit.
Mallory now needed oxygen and Irvin more than ever. He wanted his partner, now over the worst of his altitude sickness, to apply his technical skills to the final assault.
Irvin has been brilliantly skillful about the oxygen. He has practically invented a new instrument.
5th of June. It will be a great triumph if my impromptu apparatus gets us to the top. It has been very trying for everyone, with terribly strong reflection off the snow. I've prepared 2 oxygen apparatus for our start tomorrow morning.
These are the last words written by Sandy Irvin.
He would have gone wherever Mallory would have wanted him to go. And I'm quite sure that he had every intention of coming back from the mountain with both feet, both legs, both arms intact. I don't think he even truly entertained the idea that he would die. I think he believed that he was indestructible.
Early on June the 6th, support climber Noel Odell photographed Mallory and Irvin as they set out from the North Col.
Who could hold back when such a victory, such a triumph of human endeavor was within their grasp?
One must conquer, achieve, get to the top, to know there's no dream that mustn't be dared.
There's nothing on top of Mount Everest. There's not a pot of gold. Why are we doing this? You want the glory. You want that feeling of standing on top of the world.
Gambling on beating the monsoon, Conrad makes his choice to follow Mallory up to the second step.
We're starting our summit bid, and it's the 10th of June. I think the 5th of June is the latest anyone's ever climbed pre-monsoon. The clouds in the background are an indication of monsoon rolling in, so we're going to play it by ear, one day at a time, but this is our window.
On June the 7th, cameraman John Noel filmed the last images of Mallory and Irvin. They were 2 miles above him, with their porters, climbing into the death zone, where the lack of oxygen makes it impossible to function for long.
In the death zone, above 26,000 feet, the body enters into what is known as necrosis. One is dying. Humans weren't meant to survive at this altitude, and you're on borrowed time.
As they enter the death zone, Conrad and Leo use oxygen, like Mallory and Irvin before them.
I was just thinking, oh, the death zone, this place isn't that bad. All of a sudden, the first of the dead bodies that we encountered appeared right by the path. And it was a real, well, I mean, when else do you walk past a dead body, you know, unless you're in a war zone, you're never going to witness anything quite like that. It's such an extreme environment up there that no one can do anything about it. They can't bring them down.
High in the death zone, some 2,000 feet below the summit, Mallory and Irvin pitched their last camp. Here Mallory wrote to cameraman John Noel, who was waiting further down to film the moment of triumph.
Dear Noel, we'll probably start early tomorrow to have clear weather. Start looking out for us, either crossing the rock band under the pyramid or going up the skyline at 8 p.m.
Clearly, he meant to say 8 a.m. He was tired. He'd been on expedition for 3 months, and now, over 3 days in the death zone.
Mr. Dancy, headlight.
We knew the monsoon was imminent. We only had a 12-hour window. We had to strike while the iron was hot.
You're so nervous that I woke up before the alarm and turned our headlamps on, got all the layering systems set up. When you step out of the tent, it was a bit like a starting gate. I was ready to go.
Leo was so excited. I mean, he had that boost of summit energy. It's probably similar to what Mallory and Irvine had on their summit day, when they were there within striking distance of the first ascent of Everest.
Imagine the morning of June 8, 1924. They're cold, they've had a restless night of sleep. Compound this with a lack of appetite, severe dehydration. Their bodies are wasted, their mental faculties are compromised. Simple things become monumental chores. Is at the limit of what is humanly possible. Even with supplemental oxygen, it's very, very desperate. And above them is a route that no one has ever been on. And when you're the first, overcoming this sense of the unknown is one of the greatest challenges.
Think about it. The anxiety, the fear, the trepidation, combined with the exhilaration, all those things stirring around and held fast by pain and suffering.